Manchester City are still alive here. Balotelli, Aguero! Back, Fuchs. The ball in behind Damian Vardy! It's 11! It's heaven for Jamie Vardy!
You are an ostrich. Well, your head must be in the sand. Is your head in the sand? Are you flexible enough to get your head in the sand?
Now the fans are shouting every week, Louis van Gaal's army! Louis van Gaal's army!
Feet after a fabulous start, the game just got away from you there.
I have nothing to say.
Nothing to say about the game at all.
Drama from day one! This is the league we want to watch!
Three, 2, 1. We're live.
What up? What up? We're here.
Hey, Hank, how's it going?
One more week. I just keep saying it. One more week. We're getting closer and closer, edging our way
Almost
to
there.
the start of the Premier League. This week, we got even more news.
Lots of news.
Lots of news. More interesting news.
Yeah.
As you pointed out, we led with Brentford last week, which, we like to spice it up, but it's not. Unfortunately, it's not ideal to lead with Brentford.
Last week was for the hardcore fans.
Yeah, exactly.
To say the least.
We had a raffle, and the Brentford fans got the luckiest by getting the first draw.
Yep. Big ups, Brentford.
So, the main transfer this week, the big Kahuna, Rafael Varane, world-class center back, leaving Madrid. 1 year left on his deal. Now, he couldn't get in a contract agreement done with Real Madrid. They feel they can offload him, use that money wherever else they're going to use it. Man U's like, use a little center back help. We could move Lindelof to number 3, and we have 2 world-class guys.
I keep seeing different fees reported for him.
I've seen 40 to 50.
And I've seen 30 as well. So
my gosh. I would guess 40 to 45 pounds is what I would guess.
I've seen 30, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But his wages, he's on $400K a week.
I believe that.
So
I mean, that's probably what he was on at Madrid. So he's probably like, I'm not going to take a cut.
Yeah.
And man, he's like, well, I suppose.
We hand out wages
when in
to
Rome.
anyone.
When in Rome.
I mean, what's Juan Mata on?
Oh my gosh. What do you think it is? Week? I was going to say he's probably on
He's probably on a good 150
to 150 to 200 is what I was going to say. Massive signing for Man U. We talked about how if they were going to address anything this window, one major thing would be adding another top-class center back and maybe moving Lindelof back. They do that. What are your thoughts on Varane? He's been around for quite some time, but he's not old, obviously.
No. I mean, it's surprising that this transfer was relatively straightforward. I mean, he was linked for a bit, but I was like, okay, yeah, he's going to Man U.
Yeah, there was no real competition.
No one else
anything.
was interested. I guess it's possibly down to the money issue. I know a lot of teams are struggling financially, and to bring in a player on $400K a week is quite a bit. But
yeah, I would say it's probably some split down the middle, maybe 60-40 one way or something like that, even 65-35. But I mean, it always comes down to as well fees for the agent and whatnot, obviously. So you got all those financials as well. But the main thing, the players got to want to go there.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're leading Madrid, you're not going to want to go.
There's not many other places that you actually want to go. You're not going to Everton.
How dare you?
You know what? I was thinking about this. We need to lay off Everton. We're going a little too hard on Everton. I feel bad.
Yeah, it's kind of like picking on the punching bag at school. That kid, you're feeling down and you're just like,
this is not nice.
Give it to this. So with that made official, would you say? I mean, obviously he's going to be the first choice alongside Maguire, so we don't really need to talk a whole lot about that. Is there anything else you want to talk about with this transfer specifically?
just a smart piece of business, I think. The only way it could hurt them is like if he ends up being terrible, which highly unlikely. But it seems like a good piece of business. We've been talking that we're not really all that confident in Lindelof.
Yeah, I mean, I'm confident in him. It's more so just maybe not for what Man U are going for in terms of being your second guy.
And I would say that he's shown improvement.
Yes, yeah, he's not quite as air prone as he used to be, but he's a really good 3 if you're Man U, and he's probably a good 2 if you are, say, like maybe Leicester, Tottenham.
Yeah.
And he's a good 1 if you're, we'll bring him up again, Everton.
Damn.
But no, I think that this is a good deal of business. I mean, I would say that he'll probably adapt pretty well since he's very, very good. I also think it'll be a little nice balance with Maguire because he can provide a little more pace than Maguire offers too.
It's a good pairing. Mm-hmm. You have Maguire there to win all the headers and more physical.
Yeah, agreed. So this begs the question, is it over for Man U in terms of their business in the window? They've still been rumored with Saul from Atletico and another Atletico player, former Premier League player, Kieran Trippier. If you had to bet, what are the odds that they get either one of those in this window?
To me, it seems unlikely.
Yeah.
Especially Trippier, like, I feel like they got to move someone first.
Yeah.
I mean, you spent 50 mil on Wan-Bissaka, and you're not going to get rid of Luke Shaw. So,
yeah, I mean, and they'd almost have to either, like you said, sell someone or maybe even like a swap if Atletico wanted someone. But they still have, he was at loan at Milan last year. Dalot, I believe, the Belgian player. And he had a good year. So maybe maybe they incorporate him, but I
just don't see it happening.
Yeah,
there.
The only way I would see another transfer being done is if it's Saul and it's if Pogba were to have left. And even then, it's like, is Pogba really going to leave? There's only so much time before the window closes and teams kind of want to be settled.
Yeah.
It
seems
be a
like
tight
it's
squeeze.
not going to happen.
Yeah.
But you never know.
Maybe the winter, but probably not. It seems like it'd have to wait till next summer if it was were to happen.
So some more Man U news. We got Chong being loaned out to the Championship.
Yes, to Birmingham.
Yep. And then also we touched on Pogba rejecting a contract extension. Not too surprising there. He stated that he's, ready to go somewhere else.
Yeah. I think it's best that we talked about last week. We both want this to happen.
Yes.
As well as we want all the best for Premier League teams and Premier League players, and we want to see the best guys play at their best. That's not what's going on with Paul Pogba. Yeah. And I think what's best for Paul Pogba is a move abroad, more than likely PSG. And PSG just kind of fits. I know we talked about it. I think it was more off the pod, but it's like Pogba kind of fits with PSG's, I guess, culture. You would say he's very much in like the Neymar kind of sphere of player. You wouldn't say he's in like the Messi sphere. You wouldn't say he's in the De Bruyne sphere. He's definitely like got an aura about him that's closer to like Neymar.
Yeah, like super self-centered, more focused on your brand. And we've seen that with PSG trying to grow their brand, with the partnership with like Jordan and stuff. Mm-hmm. And they have like streetwear and like high level fashion wear, and it's like they're not like
it reminds
me
of
real football club.
Even that, what that reminds me of? Remember a few years back, I guess it's more than a few years back, but when Roy Keane said that Arsenal players were like only concerned about their like looks.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of what
exactly
PSG here.
But actually true.
Also, to go back to the Man U note, Dalot is Portuguese. Okay, he's Portuguese. Yeah. I think I said Belgium, but.
And then one more piece of United news: Rashford is going to have surgery on his shoulder.
Pretty much like breaking news.
hot off the press. He's been dealing with this injury for a while now, and he's been contemplating whether or not he should have this surgery, because with the surgery, he's going to miss a chunk of the start of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a miss there. But it helps that they have Sancho now.
I was going to say this might be the best thing for Sancho, just to get him more accumulated, to get him on the ball more, maybe get him a little more in form, build some confidence there. It's hard because the Euros went on so long, especially for England. But it's like, man, did he just like wait to go back to Man U training and try it out and see how it was before he's like, okay, I need to have surgery? Doesn't that seem kind of weird?
The way I saw it explained was like he didn't want to take away from his like time off to have surgery and then start like rehabbing and stuff. He wanted to like have his break and then have the surgery. Like, it's understandable because, you know, you don't get that much time off that you want to actually enjoy it.
You just had a full year and then you went to a tournament.
Yeah.
So,
and we've seen he hasn't looked quite at his best, and it seems like it has been bothering him.
Yeah, he obviously not peak Rashford that we saw a couple years back. And who knows, maybe this will help out and get him a little back closer to that.
I mean, he's due for a break anyways. He's been playing a ton.
Yeah, he was like a crutch for Man U a couple years ago. They'd be worthless without him.
So moving on to another large club, Liverpool. What do we got for Liverpool?
Well, Harry Wilson officially out, going to the Championship. I mean, we didn't really get to see him a ton in the Premier League. You'd see him in like preseason tournaments and stuff, and
that 1 year with Bournemouth.
Yeah, and he didn't even get like consistent time there. He played a decent amount, but not like he didn't play all their games. Wasn't a complete regular, so
he never felt like a Liverpool player. That's for sure.
Yeah, which is weird because I think that Liverpool was gonna try and give some of their younger guys a little more run in the team, guys like Elliott and whatnot. And you would think maybe Harry Wilson could be a part of that, and they're just like, no, just cut that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they clearly must know what they're doing, letting them go, and they're like, well, we're gonna raise funds in case we gotta bring in some other guys.
Doing what they do best, selling youth products to teams for far too much money.
Yeah, at least Harry Wilson, I feel better than Mr. Brewster. Mr. Brewster was a terrible. Everyone knew that from the moment it happened.
How about Jordan Ibe?
Oh gosh,
Dominic Solanke.
They really just meme these guys into it's not even real.
Stop buying youth players from Liverpool, please.
Oh gosh. Another bit of news: Shaqiri officially putting in his transfer request.
Not too surprising.
Yeah, it seems like he just wants a new challenge and stuff, and it's reasonable. I mean, he's accomplished quite a bit with Liverpool and whatnot, and just wants to get some more playing time. Been rumored to Italy. It seems like that's where he really wants to go. He's been rumored around like France and whatnot too, but I think Italy's mainly where he's rumored, and it seems like that's where he wants to go. So we'll see. There's a few teams that could definitely use his service as a wide playmaker.
Maybe back to Stoke.
Well, they're coming up next year.
Inter, Bayern, Stoke, you know.
The legend continues of
Take your
Xherdan
pick.
Shaqiri. Maybe back to Basel, too. Another big bit of news, relatively new. Trent Alexander-Arnold, new contract.
Yeah.
Till 2025. I didn't get a chance to see the wages.
I didn't either.
I think since it just kind of came out not too long ago, it hasn't been broke.
I'm sure he's on a good amount.
Yeah, to say the least, a healthy living.
Yeah. But they're very dependent on him and
Robertson. Those are their two main guys that they have to keep.
Yeah.
If they were to, let anyone go, you might be able to get away with Wijnaldum. We'll see about that.
Mm-hmm.
But you for sure couldn't get away with letting Alexander-Arnold and Robertson go with their play in the attack and defense. And then lastly on Liverpool,
possibly the most unbelievable rumor of the summer.
I couldn't believe it. £86 million bid for Chiesa. Why would Juventus sell? This is very un-Liverpool. They literally just let Wijnaldum leave on a free.
Yeah.
And their attack, it might not have been the best last year relative to what it had been, but you wouldn't say that's their most pressing need.
No, definitely to replace Wijnaldum, for sure.
Yeah, if not even Hendo or just bring in another midfielder. It's like...
Yeah, especially the midfield's looking really shaky, honestly.
Yeah. You're just relying on Keita as of now. And even then, it's like, well, if he goes down with a knock, what do you do?
Time's ticking for Liverpool. Are they going to get some business done? I'm a little skeptical.
Yeah, I know. That's how I'm feeling,
Especially after the season that they had last year where they
just made it to the top
barely
4.
made it, had to use every ounce of their depth.
Yeah.
And
Nat Phillips.
And then you're going to go into this transfer window like,
that
was all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
It was just unlucky. It was
unlucky, mate.
It was just unlucky. We didn't have nearly enough depth as we should have for our injury-prone guys. It's just, But no, 86 mil for Chiesa. It's a good meme. I'll say that.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Cutting it south to London.
The Hammers.
The second biggest club in London behind Millwall. West
True.
Ham.
True.
West Ham. Selling Felipe Anderson back to Lazio. I think it was like somewhere between like 3 and 5 mil. Not too much, but only in the Premier League for a few years. But he had a couple good runs.
Yeah,
it seemed like he would string together like 6 to 8 games where he'd be like, okay. He was kind of like a Saint Maximin at Adama Traore kind of guy, and you're like, all right, okay.
Yeah,
and then
get some assists, and then
either go down with a knock or I don't know, just fell out of form.
He didn't get a good run into the team, for a prolonged time.
Yeah,
he's always in and out.
Yeah,
and ultimately he's out.
Yeah, now they sell him, raise some funds. Another rumor for West Ham: Striger Larsen. Notable performer for Denmark at the Euros. Rumored to Udinese. I believe he's out of contract next season, so Udinese might just look to move on. Wouldn't be a bad depth piece.
Yeah.
For him. I mean, I'd say their wide players are pretty good, but I don't think it would hurt because I feel like it costs them like €5 million. Probably wouldn't be much. So.
And then the goalkeeping position.
Yeah, big one.
Do I remember this correctly? They're going for Areola on loan?
Yes, it's a loan with an option to buy after the year.
Yeah.
I didn't see what the option to buy was, though.
I think it was like 20 mil.
That's not
something
too bad.
Around there. It's probably it's fair.
Yeah. I mean, just that's based on how he performed last year. If he didn't perform as well as last year, you'd say 20, you'd probably squint and be like, hey, you could probably get just as good a keeper for significantly less. But
I like this move from West Ham, though. It's a proactive move because you could have gone into the season like, okay, Fabianski, he's been solid. But the reality is that he's 36 and he always has like an injury.
An occasional injury, yeah, I was going to say.
And he misses a little bit of time and then they have to rely on
Darren Randolph.
Keeper.
Darren Randolph. Bring
Legend.
him in.
So I like this move.
Ireland's finest.
That too. And then another piece of news for West Ham, a little bit of a head scratcher. They want to extend Vladimir Sufal, very
important player for him last
important
year.
player for them last year, but he supposedly was let down by their initial offer. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how low it could have been. Maybe it's close and, there's just some talks of saying he's let down to extend it a little more, see how much him and the agent can get.
It could be the classic agent talk.
Yeah, but who knows? I mean, he doesn't really seem like a guy that would be too like, oh my gosh.
I saw a picture of him waiting for the bus. He takes the bus.
He takes the bus. Yeah. He calls out Andy Robertson.
An everyday man.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange. You would think that they'd want to lock him up just because of, I would say he's their second or third most important player last year. I'd say at times you could say Antonio was probably their second most, mixed with Declan Rice at times, mixed with Lingard. It's kind of a rotation there. And then obviously Sushek, I'd say, was their most valuable. But yeah, you gotta make sure you get your guys right.
Yeah, this is not a guy.
Gotta build off something.
You don't want to let him go.
Yeah,
sure.
And what are you gonna sell him for?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. Yeah,
he fits in so well there.
He does. He really does. His work rate, the energy brings, the vibes, the absolute vibes. So good moves by West Ham right there. A little solid week done by them.
Yeah,
I like that. How about moves for a team that hasn't had moves? We're going to talk about them this early?
Crickets chirping? Is that Newcastle's music?
Oh, my gosh. Newcastle, the only team not to make a move yet.
Okay, well, there's another team that technically has made a move, but their name rhymes with Chelsea.
Yeah, well,
They signed a backup goalkeeper.
Oh, we'll get to that. Yeah, so they haven't brought anyone in. They've been rumored. I believe it's Newcastle, Palace, and there's one other side that was rumored with this creative mid from Angers. It's around.
That was Angers.
No, it's Angers.
All right, French listeners, please.
Yes. Creative mid from France, around 10 to 15 mil is what I've heard for him. I mean, I can't say I'm too familiar with Ligue 1, especially lower teams. But I mean, it could have hurt. Yeah, it could have hurt. I mean, they need something, especially if this guy plays more central, which it sounds like he does.
Yeah, I know that they're really pushing hard for Joe Willock, although they haven't seemed to have made an official bid. Maybe they just think that Arsenal is.
I saw some weird rumor that Monaco was looking at Joe Willock.
Yeah.
So Newcastle and Monaco going at it.
It just seems weird from an Arsenal perspective. Yes, Joe Willock had a great season, second half of the season for Newcastle, but
is he Arsenal quality?
We've talked about this. Where does he fit into Arsenal's plans? Completely different play styles. And at this point, it's potentially his peak value.
Yeah. Or this could just be the beginning.
Or it could be. I mean, you never know.
Also rumored, I'm going to butcher this one, Chaudhry from Leicester City, the Afro man.
I think it might be Chowdhury.
The Afro man.
We're just going on.
Yeah, but they've been rumored with him on loan. Honestly, that'd probably be a pretty good move for Leicester to get him some more Premier League experience. I don't know how much he'd play for Newcastle, but
he's that guy you always see on like the FIFA lineups. Like, oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, I mean, he provides some midfield depth. I think he's more defensive minded than attack minded, but I think their main rumor so far as players has been Tonzebe. I haven't seen any other team really rumored with him, but Man U for sure want to get him out.
Yeah, that's a sensible move.
Yeah, I mean, it could very well even be a free. If not, it's probably like 1 or 2 mil for Newcastle. So get a little center back depth, and who knows? Maybe if he finds the right form, he could, replace a Kieran Clark or a Fernandez. It could happen.
Yeah,
slot him alongside
it's a sore
Cher
spot for Newcastle.
So I think kicking the tires on those guys and just taking flyers, not a bad idea for Newcastle. Also, another big Newcastle note. Steve Bruce
stays. He stays.
Well,
3 more years. 3 more years.
Rumored.
3 more years.
Rumored. Apparently, the club doesn't want to talk about it in their press conferences.
I wouldn't either. I mean, it's
They're
shameful.
not proud of it.
It's just you get it done. Steve Bruce is here to stay, whether you like it or not.
They're not proud of it, but they're going to be happy with the results, I'm sure. Bruce Ball forever.
Yeah, Bruce Ball forever. I mean, get that man Joe Willock.
Oh, my gosh. Willock, Tonzebe. Simple as. Simple as for Newcastle.
Let's talk about a team where it's not simple as.
Oh, no.
Tottenham Hotspur.
It's never simple for them. Tottenham, what can you say? They're looking at a bunch of center back options still this week. Tomiyasu, it seemed like it was close last time we talked, Sam, and now it's still just there. I think Tottenham are like, okay, no one else wanted him, so we're just going to leave this here as it's going to be a our player version of our managerial search. He'll be our like 4th choice, and we'll go with him if no one else comes here.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be something to this because otherwise
Where would it
this
come from?
wouldn't be a thing.
Yeah.
You don't just link people with like completely random players from.
Especially, well, yeah, because he's on Bologna.
Yeah.
And it's like specifically for like, I think it's like a little less than 20 mil. It's like 18 or something like that. And
Yeah.
that's just been the number floating there.
I've read that he's, a great physical presence, but it might be a big step up to the Premier League, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't watched footage on him, but
Yeah. Another guy, that's another big, strong guy, Milenkovic, from Fiorentina, also rumored. That would probably be, it'd probably be easier for him to slot in to the Premier League, I would suspect, than Tomiyasu. Milenkovic been rumored all over Europe, and he's relatively young. He's not too old. I think that wouldn't be a bad signing at all, assuming that it's like no more than like 25 mil. And another big rumor right here.
the London swap.
Yeah, Kurt Zuma, who's also been rumored with West Ham too. Kurt Zuma, Chelsea looking to get rid of him. Kind of played pretty well last year for him at times. Fit in there. He was never the first choice guy, it seemed like, but when they need him to step up, he stepped up.
Yeah, he's definitely a valuable asset to some team. Mm-hmm. Whether that be a Tottenham or a West Ham. I kind of like him more as a West Ham.
Yeah.
But, I think he can serve a role on another team, whereas Chelsea don't seem to particularly need him.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Yeah, I would be surprised if he's not sold by Chelsea. But as far as if it's Premier League or another league, that's probably 50-50. I wouldn't have a read on that. Where was I? Oh, they're also rumored with Kaleta Carr, who was he was in the Euros for Croatia.
Yeah.
Played a little bit here and there. And like as soon as that came out, the famous Italian newsbreaker these days, Romano, instantly dropped he's not an option. He's not an option.
The classic.
Just right away.
Smash your hopes and dreams.
Marseille dropped not an option. So Tottenham, the search for a center back continues.
Yeah,
that might be the name of the episode. The journey continues. Tottenham, the journey continues.
Waiting to get the Romero signing across the line.
Oh, that
apparently
too.
The fee it's right, but they're just
really, because what I was reading something that said the fee was like pretty close, but then like add-ons and stuff was the issue because it was like 40 to 50 mil.
Yeah,
and they're sorting that out, and then the add-ons are going to be like around 10. So.
Interesting. Normally, you don't really get hung up on the add-ons too much, but that's a move I expect to be happening within the next week.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you look at Sancho to Man U. I mean, that it was hung up, but that was more the initial fee. That wasn't the add-ons. I think the add-ons were pretty cut and dry from the get-go with those negotiations. So we'll see. Maybe next week, Tottenham. Maybe next week you can lead the show. Speaking of another Tottenham rumor, though, Joaquin Correa of Lazio, wide player, has been rumored to Tottenham, Arsenal, and Everton.
Yeah, I feel like I saw this a while back.
Yeah, he kind of pops up because he's just kind of rumored all over. Would you like him at Arsenal? I can't see him at Tottenham just because they brought in Mr. Brian Gill. Unless they want to split those two, and whichever one does better, they just roll with the hot hand. But
yeah, I feel like the Arsenal, attacking positions are kind of filled up. Guys like Pepe, Saka, Aubameyang.
Yeah,
it's a little packed in there. I don't think.
Yeah, I would. Even though it is packed, I still would say Correa is better than 2/3 of those guys.
Well, yes, but. Is Arsenal going to move anyone? No.
Probably not.
That's just the fact of the matter.
We'll go the 80% not on that, 90% not. I could see this being an Everton move. I know that we weren't allowed to bash Everton, but this is a very Everton move.
Stop it, Hank.
Only Everton move, I would say, because they'd probably overpay a little bit for him. I've seen the fee around like 20, that's a good fee for him. He's a solid player, but I could see like if Everton just dropped like a 30 or 35 mil, and you're like, what are you doing? What are you doing, Everton? You don't need to do this to yourself.
Yep.
Remember Iwobi?
Oh, boy. Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Gosh.
You know, it's funny. I talked about Arsenal not being able to sell players, and then we bring up Iwobi, and it's like, man.
Yeah, but who else was
swindled.
there? They didn't really. Who else have they sold over last?
Oxlade-Chamberlain, 35 mil.
Yeah. I guess they swindled Liverpool.
Yeah, that's a swindle. Oxlade-Chamberlain can't stay fit to save his life.
Yeah, that's fair. I think people probably would look back on that one and say it was less of a swindle because he played like a part. Like Kurt Zouma played a part.
That's an expensive part.
Exactly. But I'm just saying that's probably why some people would say, yeah. But I would say the more I look or think about it, yeah, it really was because he doesn't even play.
Yeah, I mean, there's an argument that you could say, oh, Iwobi was better value because at least he plays a lot more often.
No,
he's
stinks.
hot trash.
That man stinks. He's doo-doo on the field. He's awful. Let's go to a different team. One of our favorite teams.
Talking about doo-doo.
One of our favorite. Whoa, talk about the opposite of doo-doo. We're talking Villa.
No, we're talking about John Terry.
Oh my goodness, the legend. You don't disrespect John Terry.
Just like he disrespected his wife.
John Terry. Leaving Villa. I wonder if, maybe in a year or two he gets a head job in the Championship.
Yeah, that seems kind of the route to go.
Yeah,
Championship.
Little Waza move.
Yeah.
Mr. Rooney, maybe a little
Lampard.
Super Frankie Lampard.
Yeah. That or you go to Scotland
football.
and manage
Oh gosh, Gerrard.
Celtic or something.
Yeah, well, you see the rumors about Gerrard being pushed towards like the Liverpool job once Klopp leaves.
Yeah.
I feel like that'll
always
forever
gonna happen,
be. Yeah,
but
that's always going to be inevitable. But more talk about Villa. Another bid for Leon Bailey. Apparently they dropped a £25 million bid on him. Got rejected by
Villa and their
Leverkusen.
£25 million bids. Like
Yeah,
they must have a button, like a keyboard shortcut, like
Yeah.
£25 million
It's
bid.
like a fantasy auction or something.
Yeah.
And that's their first initial.
There's like increments. It's like 5, 10, 25, 50, and they're like, okay,
Yeah.
25.
25 to start off.
25. Throw a chip in there.
Yeah,
25.
yeah, it's like they're at the casino playing blackjack. I didn't see any news if a second one was put in or not. I couldn't imagine that they would go much higher.
We've had one £25 million bid. Yes.
Can
but
we
how
get-
about a second?
Yes, a second. They bid the same thing to Leverkusen. They're like, you just sent that. Big news for Villa though this week. The Grealish bid around 100 mil.
Yep. Around 100 mil. Sounds like it's pretty official
Yeah.
that bid was made. What do you think? £100 million for Jack Grealish? If you're Aston Villa right now in control of the transfers,
I can't if I'm Villa.
£25 million.
Yeah, City.
How about you add £25 million, 125? There hasn't been a transfer over £100 million in the Premier League.
125 you might have to.
Is this the one?
I don't think it will be. I think Villa hold on to him for another year and then maybe next summer he goes, but I don't think it's going to be this time.
I think £100 million it's tempting.
Yeah.
It's tempting.
It really is, especially since you brought in Buendia.
Yeah.
So you have a replacement and then you'll always have Leon Bailey. You'll always have your Leon Bailey sitting there.
I would say
would you do 100 or no?
110.
110.
110.
Yeah.
People are saying like, oh, 140. 140 is a lot.
Yeah.
That is crazy. That's like you're backed by Qatar kind of money. Like,
well,
let's calm down.
What is City not backed by some oil money or something? This is news to me.
Well, yes, but not so directly as like PSG being a front for
the
state of Qatar.
Yeah, they literally are.
Like they got the same bank account.
Yes, I know. He takes money from citizens. That's so awesome. Yeah, I would say it'd be hard for Villa because they're going in to the season. I mean, it's all built around Grealish, but I mean, 110, 120.
At this point, be kind of hard to bring in the proper reinforcements.
Yeah, it would literally just have to be Leon Bailey. What else would you have going on? Unless you somehow there's
Todd
like
Cantwell?
a cut price guy. Yeah, Todd Cantwell. I mean, he's been rumored around, but they'd have to open up. That's the thing is when you sell Grealish for 110 mil,
people know you got 110 million.
Todd Cantwell becomes 50, 60 mil out of nowhere. It's crazy how things like that work.
The classic where Liverpool got, a ton of money for Coutinho.
Yeah.
Then everyone's like, we know.
Yeah, we know. We know you have money. So, do you think it's going to happen? We talked about it last week. I'm going to say no.
It feels like it won't, but then it kind of feels like it will.
It doesn't feel like it will for me.
It seems like next summer would be a lot better suited
I
because
think
of
it's
the
too close.
international duties.
Exactly. I think it's too close to the start of the season.
Yeah.
Maybe an off season and, you agree to terms in like May or something. But moving on from Villa, a team we love, to the top team we love.
Leeds
United.
Yeah, interesting rumor here. Mikel Damsgaard, we saw him perform nicely for Denmark in the Euros. What do you think of this fit? Leeds, is he the right player for Leeds? Are Leeds the right club for him?
Yeah, I would say that would be, I'd say Leeds are a great size club for him. At Sampdoria right now, but I mean, he's been rumored with some massive clubs, and it's like, that's just not, he's not going to Barcelona or anything like that. I think it'd be interesting to have him on the other wing opposite of Rafinha to provide another dynamic attacking presence out there. And who would love a little bit Damsgaard on his team would be Mr. Pat Bamford.
But then if you buy Damsgaard, you just bought Jack Harrison. So,
yeah, I mean, Harrison will be a little deeper, though, than Damsgaard, yeah? I mean, they're still out wide, but...
I mean, I think Damsgaard would be even more of like a number 10.
Yeah, he might fill like a Grealish role for Leeds, where he might be central, but he can float out wide too if the space is there. There's so much Bielsa could do with any player that it's like you can't rule anything out. What was the fee? Did it say, or it just said that they were interested?
30 million euros.
That's so much.
Yeah, it's that like performance boost off the Euros. So I'm not crazy about the move. I don't know if he would fit that great into Bielsa's system. Just because we saw him in the Euros, he'd play really nicely for maybe like the first 60 minutes, and then he'd kind of drop off and look like he was pretty exhausted.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're playing for Bielsa, you got to go 120 minutes in 90 minutes.
Yeah, but the thing with that is they're so deep, he's not going to be required to play all the time like he was with Denmark. He was constantly always up there, and they're relying on him to make the attack go when it wasn't going through Højbjerg.
But then are you going to spend 30 million euro on a guy who sometimes plays?
Yeah, I think that's what happens nowadays. I think that's literally what happens
a lot. Fair enough.
Well, I mean, how often did Rodrigo play last year? And they spent like 50 mil on him?
Yeah, but that's a little different because Pat Bamford was like...
So you spent 50 mil on a backup?
But he was intended to be the starter. If you're going in with the assumption that he's going to be the starter, I think everyone did, right?
I thought
you'd be crazy to think they'd buy a 50 million pound backup striker.
I mean, they probably thought, if it happens, it happens.
We got Pat Bamford's number one supporter right here.
Well, Chelsea legend, first off.
Middlesbrough legend, Burnley legend.
I mean, Bamford had proven it with Bielsa before, so I figured there's probably some, some familiarity there with fitting in, and Rodrigo just didn't quite adapt. And I mean, Rodrigo could play a wide. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't think it would be terrible, but I think that it'd be best off to save that 30 mil for something else. Maybe a different center back.
Yeah, I think they could use a nice depth piece creativity-wise because they don't have a guy like Pablo Hernandez anymore.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't even playing that much, though, off the bench.
No, but...
He was playing in, like, cup competitions and stuff, and that's, like, where Damsgaard would, really play and fit in the system and stuff, but it's, like you said, do you want to spend 30 mil on that?
Yeah.
So...
Time travel back before the Euros and buy him then.
Yeah, for sure.
Perfect signing.
Yeah. I don't know if Samp would have sold him for that low, but who knows? We'll talk about another Samp rumor coming up here.
Let's talk about the revitalization of the
Crystal
club.
Palace?
Crystal Palace.
Making moves.
We doubted them, first off. But they've come out guns a-blazing.
Yep.
I can't remember. Did we predict Anderson would be official this week? I'm like 95% sure I said Conor Gallagher was going to Palace this week.
You did.
So I'm going to pat myself on the back for that.
Yeah, and we predicted Kabak. No, I'm just kidding. Anderson made official 20 mil. You'd be hard-pressed to find someone complain about this transfer for Palace. I don't think I've seen anyone complain about it.
Absolute steal. He's going to be at the core of the team for years to come, most likely, unless he's sold to a better club
in the next couple of years. But
yeah, I would say that's likely.
Yeah,
if he continues on his trajectory. As well, we mentioned Conor Gallagher, a loan deal to Palace this year.
Very nice move.
Nice move indeed, and a potential move for Will Hughes, the Watford man on the outs, rejecting the contract extension, forced to play for the under-23s.
Oh, man. Well, he's been rumored to Villa, now Palace. He definitely has a place in the Premier League. I thought before Watford went down, and then last year he just tore it up in the Championship. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I like Will Hughes, and more than likely it'd probably be for like 10, maybe 15 mil. So whether it's slightly larger club, more around like the 10 spot, just getting them for a rotational depth piece, maybe even like a Leeds. I don't think he'd go to Leeds, but just like a club sort of like that. Or if he's going to a team a little lower down like Palace where he's going to get a good amount of play time.
I think that would be a great move for Palace. Sure up the midfield.
Yeah.
You have that experience.
Not to mention, I mean, just giving Milenkovic a little time off. I mean, they rely so much on him that...
Yeah.
And it's not like Hughes is exactly a 6 like Milenkovic, but he could be serviceable if you need him to kind of be the anchor and pivot around too, so...
They'll take anyone at this point. Just keep bringing in guys.
Exactly. I mean, doing a great job. Yeah. Right now, you'd say on paper they might be the winners of the transfer window, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, so far it's looking really nice.
Yeah, I would have to agree. And then lastly, Premier League legend leaving. Sacco officially signing.
Did not realize he was still owned by Crystal Palace.
I think technically his contract just expired this like spring/summer.
Yeah.
And now he just signed for some other team. But
yep.
Rest in paradise, Mr. Crazy Eyes.
Absolute legend.
Oh my gosh. Going back, staying in London, but going back to a bigger club, Chelsea. They're in.
Gonna gazump Tottenham.
Yeah, they're gonna absolutely just mog Tottenham. Be like, oh, this guy that said he won't go to your team because you're not a big enough club. Yeah, I think we'll get him. And oh yeah, he likes us because we're a big enough club. That's right.
Absolute feels bad, man.
Koundé, rumored for Chelsea, hefty fee. Trying to include Zuma in the almost as a swap, but Zuma might not want to go to Seville, is what I'm reading. I'm not sure what that's about, but
these swaps, they seem to rarely work out because of one thing or another. It's just so many moving parts that a lot of times one guy doesn't want to go and
the clubs don't even care for the guy they're getting back or something.
Yeah, exactly. And then the fee.
Yeah. So I mean, they might just have to straight up buy him for about 55 to 65 mil is what I would guess.
Yeah, I feel like if they do this, that just confirms like they're not going to bring in a striker.
Yeah, I think that ship might have sailed.
Yeah.
I think it was Holland or bust, which is fine. I mean,
right.
I'd rather do that than you bring in that 1 year they brought in like Alvaro Morata. As like that felt like they completely
just
missed
a
out.
waste of time and money.
And that would just be Gerard Moreno if they brought him in when they rumored with him. So
yeah, exactly.
It's like
you're better off just hoping that Timo Werner puts it together.
Yeah.
And justifies his price tag.
Mm-hmm. Or even if there's a way that Tuchel can somehow, because he loves to put Havertz central, almost as like a false 9 too sometimes. If he could get going for a stretch, maybe get some confidence, but we'll see. And then the first signing of the summer for Chelsea. Let's give him a round of applause. Third string keeper from Fulham,
woohoo!
Bettinelli, on a free.
Great business.
I don't know what to tell you. Never seen the man. Doubt I'll ever see the man.
Yeah.
But what can you say?
He's living the life.
Oh, that is the life. People always in America say the backup quarterback's the best job. I feel like in Europe and stuff, people probably say like backup goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Best job.
For sure.
until Louis subs you on in the penalties of a tournament.
Until you have to play like in Tel Aviv in the Europa Conference League.
Okay, well, that's why you don't sign for too good of a club.
Yeah. Then you're playing in the Carabao Cup.
Well, that's
the most
class.
Prestigious tournament.
That's what you love. Moving on from Chelsea to another London club again. Arsenal. Rumored a little bit of Odegaard. He's coming back. Rumors sprinkling around.
The twist. Oh, he's going back to Real Madrid. Real Madrid. He's in the plans of Ancelotti, and then what's this?
Maybe he's not.
All goes quiet, and then we see pictures of Odegaard and videos at training. All the teammates are clapping and cheering for each other. He takes a shot and scores. Nothing. Odegaard is on the outs, and guess what? Real Madrid willing to sell for £35 million. Great piece of business.
If you can do it.
Arsenal.
Will Arsenal do it though? I don't know if they will. I have my doubts.
I think there's a good chance. I mean, if it's truly £35 million, yes.
We'll see.
I
hope for Arsenal's sake they do, but Arsenal might Arsenal.
Apparently, Arteta has said that Ben White is not the last significant signing of the summer.
Oh.
But the classic Arsenal, like, this is gonna be our summer. We're going big.
And
that means Ben White, which is a great signing.
Yep.
Official today. Welcome aboard, Ben. Great to have you. But then you have other signings like Albert Sambi Lokanga, which is like, not the most marquee signing, and a backup left back.
More future in that plan, but he can still play at times right away. This is the big one that really threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
Xhaka, Arsenal with the surprise this week.
All
Odegaard
summer
now, Xhaka.
All summer long, it's been Xhaka's going to Roma. It's happening soon. Just got to work out the fee.
Time.
Which, honestly, the fee is like, it's too low for Xhaka after he had a great Euros. Come on. Where is the
price
Euros
is too damn low.
bonus, for us?
No, not for Arsenal.
It's like 18 million euros for, a good midfielder.
Yeah, I mean, clubs probably look around and they're like, well, Xhaka is probably expendable for you guys, huh?
And we say, nope.
Extension.
New
Aubameyang style.
5-year contract.
Aubameyang style. We'll throw money at him. We'll stay.
To be fair, though, I don't really have that much of a problem because we've talked
what else
about
are you gonna
this.
Do?
Yeah,
he's fine.
It's kind of like the Chelsea thing. If you're not gonna bring in like a top level replacement,
make sure you hold on to your guy.
You're better off
serviceable.
just sticking with him than ending up with like El Neni as your starting midfielder. Like, no disrespect to El Neni, I love the guy. He's a very happy guy.
He listens to the pod,
He's a big fan. Big ups, Mo. But there's no harm in keeping him. He's a great passer. I don't think they're going to find anyone better
Probably
at
not.
this point in the transfer window.
More than likely not. I'll just tell you right now, no,
Yeah.
they're not. So you might as well extend them.
Yeah. But then
And plus an extension for him makes way more sense than an extension for when they threw all that money at Aubameyang.
Yeah, for sure.
So at least it's not like Xhaka's going to like fall off a cliff, because it's not like you're relying on his athleticism and stuff. It's more his, and it's not like his passing's going to just, his talent's just going to drain or something. You know? Like it's not just going away. So
yeah, not to mention
he is what he is.
The leadership that he brings to the team as well.
Yeah.
Especially when you have younger guys coming in, it's always good to have that more experienced player to show them the way.
See, this is why I'm worried for Arsenal, because you keep Xhaka, had a great Euros. He's been kind of like the team leader, one of the main leaders. You bring in a guy who was on loan with you last year and looked really, really good. And now you had all this momentum at the end of the year and your team is playing well. And this is where I'm just waiting for the rug pull.
True Arsenal fashion. Start off the season like no wins in the first 10.
Oh, God. Well,
second half team.
Second half. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. That's
Post Christmas,
what they always say.
You know.
But then again, it's like I see there's something about it where like things get memed hard on the internet, and it's like people legit are like asking, they're like, could Arsenal be relegated in the next 5 years? And it's like,
no, stop.
What are you going to do when somehow in like 5 years they're like in a Champions League spot, whether it's lucky or not? They'll finish like 5th or something. It'll be like, you're going to look so stupid. Like what? There's something about that where it's like, there's like a karma which helps out the team.
I mean, it's so obvious Arsenal is going through a rebuilding phase, just like Man U did.
Yeah.
It's inevitable.
Not when you're Everton. No.
And guess what?
We won't.
You know, Arsenal is maybe going to be pushing for the Europa League this season. But a year or two could be the Champions League again, you know, 4th place. The classic 4th place trophy. Could it be Arsenal's again?
Well,
we shall see.
If you let all that Aubameyang money go and Lacazette go, and you use that on an actual 9 to help Pepe out and Odegaard out, you know, then we'll talk. We got the center back situated.
Yeah.
We got some midfield solidarity now.
Really, defense wasn't the issue last season.
It wasn't, but I mean, Ben White is very, very good compared to what you have. Not saying Holding's bad.
Whoa.
Not saying...
Whoa. Talking to the proud
Callum
owner
Chambers.
of a Rob Holding jersey. He's great in the air.
Yeah. I'm not saying anything bad about him. I'm saying that Ben White...
You take it back.
I need to grab this mic. Ben White is far superior.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So, I mean, at least it looks like they're building something, hopefully Arsenal, you know, because whether you're an Arsenal supporter or not, the Premier League's just better when teams like that are better. Simple as, you know.
Yeah.
It's how you always feel when, like, Chelsea, with their, like, 1 in, like, 6 years where they, like, just die.
Yeah.
You're like, man, the Premier League season just kind of feels screwy because Chelsea sucks. And you feel the same way kind of when, a little bit when United was down. Not quite as much because Liverpool kind of really replaced them.
Where the top teams were struggling, like Chelsea, Arsenal, United. And it was like, oh, this is weird.
It is weird. Well, getting back to the rumors, another team looking for Europe, specifically the Champions League this year, they're pushing for. Leicester extending club legend Mark Albrighton through 2024. Not any huge news. I mean, he's a depth piece at this point, but it's nice just to see that. You can always look back on 2016 and the role he had on the team. But one rumor that we should talk about, there's something about Maddison this week about if they received an offer of 70 mil, they'd take it. After his year last year, where he's a little down, would you say that, because I think they'd even take a little less than 70, but would you say now would be a good time to buy a Maddison? Say if you're maybe not City and miss out on Grealish, but just another like bigger club. If you're like 60
Arsenal,
mil, yeah,
that he's been linked to.
Yeah, I mean, would it be a bad move for them to say, here's 50 or 60 mil?
I think
throw it out there.
The worry with him is his injuries,
fitness. Yeah,
but if he is that caliber of player, and maybe last year was I think it was a weird year. I mean, it was a weird year for everything.
Because even he started hot.
Yeah.
It just kind of, maybe it was the injuries and he couldn't really recover. And then they were kind of fluctuating with how they were playing too, because they always went one striker. Now they go on two.
Yeah.
And they got different dynamics in the midfield.
Yeah, they were always switching it up. And there were times last season where it looked like he was trying like too hard to run the show and make stuff happen. Mm-hmm. But, you know, young players are going to go through that kind of experience. I'm not sure if it's a good move for him to go to Arsenal.
Right now, you'd say one more great year at Leicester and then talk about it?
But
then at that point, the price is going to be...
Yeah.
So
it's an alternative to Odegaard. But the price difference is, if it's true, like 70 versus 35, obviously, you're going to take Odegaard.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Yeah, I think I just bring up that point just because it's like, if he does have another great year, then they're going to be asking for Grealish money for him, more than likely. Yeah. So, interesting stuff.
Moving on to a favorite team of Hank, Southampton.
Yeah, baby.
And did someone say, what was that? £25 million bid from Aston Villa? Wow.
It's not even real, like, honestly. The fact that they throw it out to just every team, they're just like 25 mil. They have 25 mil burning a hole in their pocket right
Absolutely.
now, and they're looking to spend it.
So the £25 million bid for James Ward-Prowse, what do you think of that offer?
You can't do that if you're Southampton.
No, he's too important.
Yeah, he's too important in terms of really kind of just solidifying the midfield. Even though he's a little wider, obviously, he does so much in terms of keeping Southampton on the front foot, preventing them from losing the ball as much and whatnot. So, and his obviously, I'll get to it, but his dead piece, he's one of, if not the best in the Premier League at swinging balls in.
I think this is one of those classic cases of where he's one of those players that's more valuable to the team that he's on than he would be to a different team.
Mm-hmm. I would say so.
So with a bid of £25 million, I feel like that's not too far off the mark for my personal valuation of him. I see him around £30 million, and I wouldn't go higher than that. I think there's better players to be had that are more all around.
I think he's perfect for Southampton. I think 25 mil is not enough for Southampton, but anything north of 35 mil would be way too rich for anybody else. So I feel like it's just the perfect situation. I think he's just kind of got to stay there. Yeah. Maybe in a few years, if his contract, because he just extended last summer, if his contract's kind of running down, and maybe in like a pinch, say like the winter window or something, or maybe even in summer, and they just see his contract run down, maybe a bigger club goes to get him as like a rotational guy, plays a little Premier League, plays a little bit in Europe or something. But
he just seems to me like a guy who his career trajectory isn't skyrocketing. Like it is going up slightly, but it seems like he's one of those good players that plays for maybe a lesser club throughout their career.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. And honestly, that's probably what's best for him and best for Southampton, I would say.
Yeah.
So, another thing, Gineppo looks like Hasenhüttl wants to use him a little more defensively, more as like a wing back. I mean, he's just a straight up winger, but they want to try and use him a little more defensively. We'll see. I mean,
he's trying to go for the 10-0 defeat, I see.
Yes, apparently.
Because to me, this guy seems like he is not in the least bit defensive.
No, he's more of an attack-minded player, but we'll have to see what magic Hasenhüttl can work with that, and maybe he gives it a go and realizes this is not going to work, and we're just going to throw him back up there.
Yeah.
I'd like to just see him get more of a run this year, too, because he's shown flashes, but he's never really put it together for Southampton for more than like a 2 or 3 game stretch even.
Southampton have some guys who you could see potentially break through into the first team. We saw Nathan Tella at the end of last season. He's one of those guys. And I think there's spots up for grabs as well.
Yeah. It's definitely a club where they need some younger guys to make the jump. And if they don't, they're SOL. That's kind of what it comes down to for Southampton this year. But at least, you go ahead and make a point.
I was just going to say, Southampton historically have been known for developing good youth players. We saw that with Lallana, Luke Shaw.
31-year-old Ricky Lambert.
Yeah, Ricky Lambert. James Ward-Prowse, when he was younger, he was pretty highly rated.
Yeah.
I mean, not saying he's a bad player now, but...
I mean, when he was 16, he was rumored to like United with Shaw and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like Southampton are maybe due for that kind of player.
Come back up.
And that kind of propels them to maybe a better finish this season.
Yeah, potentially. But at least in this last note they have about Southampton, 2.5 mil revamp of the stadium. How about that?
Wow.
How about that? New scoreboards, new cosmetics, I guess.
Seems like 2.5 mil wouldn't get you very far.
You wouldn't think so, but I mean,
that's like 2.5% of a Jack Grealish.
Well, you put that in the stadium, it can work wonders apparently. So
Jack Grealish shins.
Wolverhampton. Not a ton going on with them. Just a little news and notes. We'll mainly be talking about Wolverhampton when it just comes to the preview, because as far as business, they just really haven't done much at all. We touched on their one signing last week of the defender, but only real news for them, they're going to try and implement a couple younger guys in the squad a little more, mainly Morgan Gibbs-White, I guess. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, they're going to need to. They have a couple older guys like Montinho and stuff, so hopefully... Yeah,
I'm not opposed to seeing more of Gibbs-White. He's shown some flashes that he has some quality there.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Especially in a team like Wolves we saw last season, they were definitely at times over-reliant, way too much on Traore. And it was so predictable. You're like, okay, they're going to pass it to Traore, and he's going to run, and he's going to either try and get fouled or he's going to cross the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, that did not work that great for them without Jimenez.
Exactly. So, a youth movement wouldn't hurt them, especially, new manager, maybe a little reboot, a little fresh start. Rumored with Rafael Leao, another Portuguese man himself of AC Milan. Wouldn't be a bad signing. I would figure it might be a little lower because he's kind of fallen out of favor at Milan. Maybe it's a loan with an option to buy. Who knows? Or maybe they do a swap because they still have Catrone, the Italian. Maybe there's some kind of deal they can work out there, but we'll see. Another note too. Adama Traore, City links.
I did not see that.
There's been some links about it. I can't say, even if they miss out on Grealish, I don't think it makes sense. I get he'd bring a different dynamic than what other people bring at City, but it just doesn't seem like it would.
Yeah, not for the price that Wolves would probably want.
Yeah, the number that was thrown out there is 30 mil, and I feel like Wolves wouldn't even take that.
Yeah.
I feel like they'd want more. Not saying he's worth more, because I feel like 30 mil, 35 mil is probably what he actually is worth. But
yeah, I think he's kind of a one-dimensional player.
Yeah. I mean, he's still good at it.
Yeah. But when you look at the numbers, the assists...
I think, and this is one of those things we're talking about, people meme and stuff. I think people meme him a little too much in terms of how good he is, because, I don't know, there's something fancy and attractive about dribbling past people and stuff.
He's
that really
fast.
Catches the eye. So
yeah,
I think people slightly overrate him a bit.
When you look at the numbers, like the amount of assists that he's had is like way fewer than what you would think he'd get.
Yeah. No, and that's what I'm saying. I think that there's a slight overrated aspect to him.
Hey, but did you know they rub him in oil so no one can grab him?
That's news.
Wait, you didn't know that?
No, but he looks shiny out there at all
Oh,
times.
yeah. They have a guy and he
lathers him up.
Yeah, lathers him up, and so he's slippery. Very slippery.
Well,
It's like an eel out there.
Yeah, well, that's what more teams should do that.
That's honestly pretty disgusting, though. Imagine you're like marking a guy and you're like,
yeah, it's like gel all over your hand.
God, what's on my hand? Like, ugh.
Yeah,
that's disgusting, man.
Wolves, stop it. Win with real tactics. Now we got two, probably of the sadder rumors of the week, if Wolves wasn't sad enough. Everton, Sheamus Coleman extension. Very nice. Club
you gotta
legend.
do it.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Especially at times like these.
Somehow, turns in great performances still and is one of their best, most reliable players, which I think that's all you need to know.
Yeah,
about.
if he left Everton now, it'd just be...
It'd be a whole lot of... there's not much culture left from that team, from the previous teams, but if he left, it's like, whoa, this is a bunch of mercenaries that aren't...
Yeah, you don't have that classic Everton soul that kind of was established by David Moyes.
Yeah, Moyes. The classic teams you always think of Moyes, Fellaini, Baines,
Coleman,
Jags.
Yeah.
But, sometimes you got to change, but sometimes change always isn't for the best. So I'm glad they kept Sheamus, still productive. We'll see how many years he has left. The Jaime's future is kind of strange.
He's on his Twitch chat.
Saying
apparently he has a Twitch.
Yeah, saying he doesn't know if they want him.
He doesn't know. He just wants to be wanted. Me and James, we're not too different. We just want to be wanted.
Absolutely.
So,
I don't know. Where does he go? It's definitely not a Premier League team if he leaves.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Does he? I guess I'm confused. Did they just tell him? Did Rafa mention something to him about you're not going to fit in here. We're not going to play you? Because it's if you're losing Gylfi, you'd think you would want to keep everybody, especially with a short window.
Yeah.
That is an attack-minded player.
But
would you not?
He was just such a Ancelotti personal signing almost.
True.
It's like he's almost part of the coaching staff. You bring your own coaching staff. I bring in James.
Yeah, but he's not going back to Madrid, so I don't know what his future is.
I feel like he could go to maybe,
French team.
Top 6 club in Spain or something. Maybe. I don't know.
I could see it. I could see
Top
him.
8.
Sociedad, Real Betis. Yeah, he could really go anywhere, and I wouldn't be shocked. I hope he stays in the Premier League because he's good when he plays.
Yeah, for sure.
Also rumored with Dumfries, Denzel Dumfries. Not going to happen. I'll tell you that. Unfortunately, Everton. He's better than what Everton want. But Everton don't even need wide players, really, unless you're saying... Because the two main wide defenders you have, Coleman and Digne.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't get it unless you're just going to replace Coleman with Dumfries, but then it's you're leaving Coleman on the bench and he's still one of your better guys.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It doesn't make sense.
No.
It's not Everton
It's
move,
not
unfortunately.
happening. What was that line? It's for sure not happening?
It's for sure not happening.
What was that? Let me scroll up.
From what?
Given no chance or... Not an option.
Not an option. Yes. Yeah. The Coletta car.
I'm a slap a not an option. That's right next to the keyboard shortcut for the £25 million Aston Villa.
That reminds me of that Sunderland show that was on Netflix when they brought in a short list of strikers to get, and someone put Zlatan on there, and the board guy was like, "Who put Zlatan on here? Who thinks we can actually get Zlatan?"
Wow.
It was their first year in the championship.
Absolute gold.
So awesome. And finally, we rounded out with a little bit of Watford. With probably the saddest week as far as rumors go. Rumored with Martin Torsby, Sampdoria, Norwegian international. Solid, high work rate, number 8 kind of player. They could use him. I mean, he's only probably available for 7 or 8 million euros, not too bad. And
especially
then one day,
if they don't renew
Hughes, you can sell
Mark
him
Hughes.
Sell him and bring in.
Not Mark Hughes.
You say Mark Hughes? I just assumed you said Will Hughes. I just assumed you said
Mark Hughes.
They're bringing in Man City legend, Mark Hughes. Yeah, and then it was like 1 or 2 days later, they just instantly were like, nope, that's not happening. It's like, okay, well.
All right.
I don't know what. I don't know. I still feel like Watford might need another guy or two, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
So if we look at the expenditures here, this window,
which is not updated.
It's not on this. It's not on this infographic, but it's pretty updated. It's just not with the Varane.
I'm also very confused on the arrivals portion where it says like Liverpool has 8.
Probably guys returning from loan.
I guess.
But still.
And that probably counts like youth players who are promoted to the senior team.
Yeah.
Anyways,
but
carry on.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting looking at, seeing who spent the most money and stuff, and we take a look at who. So just look at, kind of breaking down, because we're getting near the end of the window. Maybe break down a little winners, losers here real quick.
Yeah.
So United spending the most.
Mm-hmm.
Our chart says 85 mil, but that was before the Varane one, and then who knows with the Varane signing how much it truly is.
Yeah, maybe like 100. Quick math, 125 million.
Yeah, like 130-ish, about that. Arsenal around 84 mil. Palace dropping a cool 50 million euros. How about that?
Get it done.
Leicester spending big money. Liverpool a little bit. Norwich had a little bit of cash flow, so they bring in a few guys as well. Villa, Leeds, Brentford, Wolverhampton, Tottenham, Brighton, Watford, Burnley, Southampton, West Ham, Everton, City, Chelsea, and Newcastle in that order.
Newcastle. What is Newcastle doing?
I don't want to know.
They've been too busy preparing the Steve Bruce contract extension.
Well, you know what caught my eye about this chart?
What's that?
Tottenham is +3, so they've spent 25 mil, but they've sold 28 mil.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly feel like it could have been a little higher because we talked about coming into this how they need to offload guys.
Yes.
And obviously they're not going to be like the most expensive guys, so the balance isn't going to be like super high in terms of what they're bringing in. But still, you would think that number of guys that are going out versus coming in be a little higher.
You would think so. But
I mean, we're talking about Daniel Levy.
Yeah.
And the Tottenham board.
Talking about Danny Rose.
Oh, Danny Rose. Oh, gosh. If you had to break down your winners and losers from the window.
You know what?
Give me your top
Norwich,
3 winners.
Making a lot of business here. They're up there, number 6, up there with the big boys.
Yeah. And they've only spent 1.25 million euros on guys because they sold Buendia.
Yeah.
It was a big move.
I mean, respect to them. They realized.
Capitalized.
A lot of teams come in to the Premier League like, okay, we're just going to roll with the same squad that got us here, but maybe it lasts a year.
Or they add like a few loan guys from bigger clubs.
Yeah. If you're really serious about it, you got to make some moves because the Premier League is deeper than ever.
Mm-hmm.
When you got a team like Crystal Palace spending 20 mil on a center back,
Yeah.
You got to be serious about the guys you're bringing in.
Absolutely. The other thing before we get to winners and losers real quick that I know is Brighton at +36 mil.
Ben White.
I know. It's just
Ben White.
They
their second highest transfer ever was £7 million, and it was for Ulloa.
Oh, Leonardo Ulloa.
Ulloa, yeah.
And they called him Ulloa.
Yeah.
On the English broadcast.
Something like that. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I know they just sold him, but it's still kind of crazy to see him up there with City and Chelsea in terms of guys in and out. So good for Brighton. Maybe spend a little bit of that, Brighton. Why don't you?
You would hope so.
Top 3 winners, top 3 losers.
Okay, I'm going to say Palace, Brentford, Leicester.
Newcastle.
And then the bottom 3, you'd have to say Newcastle, Everton, and I'm gonna go with Burnley.
I was waiting for that one.
Yeah.
If Arsenal get Odegaard, they'd probably slot in my top 3.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, until that moment, they will not. So we're gonna go Palace. We're gonna go with the cheeky Leeds because I don't think they're done quite yet, but I still love what they've done so far. And then I will round it out with a good old Brentford.
Big ups, Brentford. Big ups, Brentford.
As far as losers, definitely Newcastle.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Burnley. I'm just gonna say it's gonna be no. I'll go with the tie. I'll go with the tie between Liverpool and Tottenham.
No Everton.
No. They brought in some depth pieces on cheap. They brought in Demarai Gray.
I suppose
it's fair. Whatever. It's whatever. You've spent a lot of your money, Everton, and it's on like Richarlison.
Yeah.
You're kind of you have to live in the house you built or the bed that you made. You gotta lay in the bed you made. So I don't expect a ton out of them. Whereas Tottenham, I expect them to offload a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
Keep Kane. And
speaking of Tottenham, there was one note I thought was kind of funny. When Lamella left, he was the last of the, quote, magnificent 7, unquote, that they bought using the money from Gareth Bale. And looking back, it's like, wow, there's some real stinkers in that magnificent 7.
They're magnificent, all right. They're a grandeur of trash.
Yeah.
That was Eriksen, obviously the only one worth anything. And I think he was he like the cheapest? I feel like he might have been the cheapest. Or maybe the second cheapest. Because he was like 10 mil from Ajax. And everyone else was like in that 20 to like 15 range.
Yeah,
Soldado, Kirch's, what's his name? Capu.
Yeah.
They had a bunch of terrible ones. But
that's the thing. And if you're gonna sell a player, you gotta buy the right guys. Otherwise, you're just wasted it.
Yeah, you wasted a whole run, and you put yourself 3 years back.
So hopefully that's not what Norwich is doing.
It's a little different for Norwich, I would say. Coming up as a smaller club, they're taking advantage of Buendia, where, you know, there are question marks about his fit in the Premier League. But then, I mean, you can also turn around and say, well, what about the guys they're bringing in? Are they Premier League proven? It's like, yeah, not really. So, you know, I wouldn't say it's as bad for Norwich. But that's again, it's a yo-yo club.
That's fair.
Tottenham, I have higher expectations for you. And then, like I was going to say, Liverpool, letting Wijnaldum go. I mean, he kind of just left. And then what is your replacement? That's just terrible.
Yeah.
Letting a world-class guy leave on a free and you don't have anything to show for it. So,
yeah. So any final thoughts on this week of transfers, rumors, and mayhem?
Good job, Man U.
Good job, Newcastle, extending Steve Bruce.
Of course. Absolutely.
And spending no money.
Yes. Good job, Palace, as always.
I look forward to Aston Villa's next £25 million bid.
Oh, my gosh. That's going to be
exciting.
That should be a segment of who's the next. That's your prediction. Who's their next? Your going out prediction. You got to pick some random guy from like the
Joe Willock,
Belgium league. Oh, come on now.
They're going to steal him from Newcastle.
That'd be messed up.
It would be.
Well, so what's the plan, Sam? What do we got coming up for the pod?
We got everything you've been waiting for. A full preview of each and every team, the incomings, the outgoings, their play styles. We're digging deep.
We're always digging deep out here.
We're digging like extra deep. We're like a dog digging for its bone here.
I was thinking like a little kid picking his nose, digging for gold.
We're going deep. Everywhere. So we're going to cover every team A to W I'm pretty sure the last one ends with W.
It is.
So be on the lookout for that. We're going to probably split it up into 2 parts.
A little two-parter action.
So grab your snacks, your popcorn.
Get your popcorn ready, folks.
Get comfy.
Because the Premier League season is back.